After spending some time with it, I thought it might be helpful to share what I have noticed so far, just from using it like a normal person would. This is a simple robot vacuum for someone who wants help keeping floors under control between deeper cleanings, without messing with a phone app or voice control. If you want maps, room naming, no-go zones, and you want to tell it what to do from your couch with your phone, this is not that kind of robot. If you mainly want something you can press start on and let it do its thing, it fits that role. What makes it interesting, at least to me, is how low it is. The height matters more than a lot of people think, because it decides whether the robot actually cleans the places you usually ignore. In my place, it slides under a coffee table, a media console, and the kind of couch that has just enough clearance to be annoying to clean under by hand. That was one of the first practical wins I noticed. I did not have to move furniture around just to get the dust and hair that builds up in those areas. It is also a pretty simple-looking machine. The top has a smooth, glossy surface that wipes clean easily, but it does show fingerprints and dust if you have sunlight hitting it. There is a single button on top, and it also acts like a status light. When it is charging, it signals that. When it is full, it signals that. And if something is wrong, it signals that too. I like that it is obvious from across the room, because I do not want to guess whether it is actually charging or just sitting there. Around the front, you have a bumper, and it uses that bumper a lot. This robot does not move in neat lines the way some newer models do. It does more of a bounce around pattern. It will head in a direction, hit something, change course, and keep going. Watching it can feel a little random at first, and I will be honest, the first day I used it, I had that moment of, is it even cleaning the whole place, or is it just wandering? But after a few runs, the floor started staying consistently cleaner, because that randomness eventually covers the space. For day-to-day maintenance, it works better than I expected, as long as you accept that one single run might not hit every spot in a perfectly even way. The dust bin is easy enough to remove and empty. It is bigger than I expected for a robot this size, which matters if you have pets or long hair in the house. In my case, after a couple of days of normal use, it was pulling out a mix of fine dust, hair, and little bits tracked in from outside. The filter and bin maintenance is straightforward. I still recommend you get in the habit of emptying it often, because once it gets packed, suction drops and you start seeing little trails left behind. In the box, I had the charging dock, the power adapter, a remote control with batteries, a little cleaning tool, extra side brushes, and extra filters. Something I want to be clear about, because it affects daily life, is that there are no included virtual walls. So if you have an area you do not want it to enter, you are either closing a door or you are physically blocking it with something. In my place, that meant I used a laundry basket to keep it out of one corner with loose cables the first week, until I finally cleaned that up. Setup is about as simple as robot vacuums get. I placed the dock against a wall where it had some breathing room, plugged it in, and charged the robot. Then I used the remote to start a cleaning run. There is not much to configure, and in a way, that is the point. It is the kind of device where you can hand it to someone who does not like fiddling with settings, and they will still be fine. Daily use is mostly about getting your floor ready in a realistic way. You do not have to turn your home into a showroom, but you do need to think about a few common traps. Cables are one. Thin rug fringes are another. And small items like socks can stop a cleaning run early. After I did a quick sweep for loose cables and picked up anything lightweight, it ran with fewer interruptions. It handles transitions between hard floors and lower rugs well in my space. It also deals with small thresholds between rooms without getting stuck most of the time. I had a couple of moments where it climbed halfway onto a thicker rug edge and then needed help, but it was not an everyday thing. Noise is another real-life detail people care about. I would not call it silent because none of these are, but it is quiet enough that I can be in the same room and not feel like it is taking over the space. If I have a television on, it fades into the background. I would actually run it more often because of that, which is the whole point of having a robot vacuum. One feature I noticed in practice is how it changes suction when it hits carpet. On hard floors, it is doing a steady clean. When it climbs onto carpet, I can hear it ramp up. That is useful because I do not have to think about modes. I just let it move between surfaces and it adjusts on its own. In my testing, that helped it pull more out of rugs than I expected from a small robot, especially fine debris and hair that sits on the surface. On thicker carpet, it still cleans, but I am not going to pretend it replaces a full-size vacuum for deep cleaning. It is more like it keeps the top layer under control, so your regular vacuuming is easier. Battery life in my use was enough to cover my main areas in one go. I have seen it run for around 1 hour and change before heading back. In a smaller apartment, it is fine. In a larger layout, you might need to run it more often or accept that it will not be perfect in one pass. It does return to the dock on its own, but because it does not build a map, it can take a little wandering to find home if the dock is in an awkward spot. When I gave the dock a clear, simple location, it docked more reliably. Now let us talk about smart features and app support, because this is where expectations can get mismatched. There is no mobile app experience here. There is no phone control, no mapping, no voice assistant support. Everything is basically on device or through the remote. You can set a schedule, but it is the same time every day, not a different schedule for different days. For me, that was fine once I found a time that worked. If your routine changes throughout the week, that limitation can get annoying. In real-world cleaning, the strengths are pretty clear. It fits under low furniture. It keeps daily dust and hair under control. It is not loud. It is simple to start and simple to maintain. The limitations are also clear. The navigation is more like trial and error than deliberate pathing, so you have to give it time and repeat runs to get a consistently clean home. It can get stuck on the usual robot vacuum trouble spots if you leave clutter around. And without virtual boundaries, you are the one creating boundaries with doors or physical objects. Overall, after living with it, I think it makes sense for someone who wants a basic robot vacuum that they will actually use often because it is not a hassle. I do not treat it like a replacement for deep cleaning. I treat it like a daily helper that keeps floors from getting out of control, especially in the areas I do not want to bend down and reach all the time. If you have been using the RoboVac 11S, or you are thinking about it, let me know what kind of floors you have and what you want it to handle. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment with your questions or your own experience, and thank you for watching.